Welcome, this video is going to introduce you to the interface of Fusion, formerly known as Fusion 360. This is a cloud-based 3D modeling program for industrial designers. The program does require an internet connection as save files are stored in the cloud only. The top right hand corner, you'll have your account where you can go through and change your preferences. There's also the help area, and then along the top you can create a new document or design. I'm going to be working with this step design, and this will be available in the video description, so you might want to go through, download that and follow the remainder of the video. Then we have the home area, redo, undo, save, and then the file options. In here you're most likely going to be saving, exporting a design, or getting it ready for 3D printing, or potentially uploading other 3D models from different libraries or 3D modeling communities like GrabCAD or the Fusion Gallery. Beside this we have is the data panel, and this is where your files will be saved, likely in the first projects area. Below that we have libraries and also some sample designs that you can go through and do additional training, minimizing the data panel. Then we want to look at the toolbar and the different tools within this area. It is quite complex, and as Fusion is a smart, intuitive software, it does adapt this toolbar based upon what tools you're currently working on. So we're mainly going to be working in the solid space. If we go to surface, you'll be able to notice these are all hollow. So for this playlist, be solely working in the solid space. Then below that is creating a design. Fusion really focuses on parametric modeling. And so what that means is you're producing a shape first of all, or what we call a profile, and then you'll be applying a 3D command like one of these, an extrude or a revolve. Also notice that Fusion also provides a really good visual and description of each of the tools. So when beginning, you're going to go to, and I'm going to create just a new design here, create a new sketch, specify what I'm going to be creating, and notice that the toolbar has now changed. We're now in the sketch area. And so all these tools are 2D. And so you're constantly going to be producing a shape and then going back to solid to then make it three-dimensional. Going back to sketch, and I'm going to finish the sketch. There will be a video in the playlist that focuses on solids or bodies and also creating sketches. Moving on, we've got the canvas. So that is the center here, that is our workspace. And below that, sorry, I'm just going to go back to my step. Below that I have is the display and navigation bar. So we've got orbit, pan, and zoom. However, it's best to start using the shortcuts and hotkeys to go through and speed up your process. So make sure you're using an external mouse with 3 buttons, and so therefore you're going to be able to navigate around the design a lot quicker. So rather than selecting orbit, I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to push in the middle mouse wheel, and so therefore I can orbit around the design. Rather than using pan, I'm going to push in the middle mouse wheel and go left and right, up and down. Rather than using zoom, I'm going to put my cursor where I want to zoom in and then zoom in using the scroll wheel and out. And notice that it is cursor sensitive. So wherever the pointer is where it's going to zoom. Beside that, we have the main one we're going to look at is the display settings. So under display settings, we've got the visual styles, and you might be changing it to wireframe or changing it to with hidden edges. However, for more complex designs, be using hidden edges. However, the default shaded with visible edges only is really suitable. The grids and snaps, you can turn off your layout grid, and you can also snap to grid and change the grid settings. They'll be in millimeters. Beside that, we have as the viewports, and we can go into multi-view, where we have our original 3D view, and then we have our orthographic view. So top, front, and side. This can be really helpful when moving design, especially if you don't have a external mouse. Going back to single view and our default view. The top right-hand corner we have is the view cube, and this allows for viewing changes from front, side, and isometric view. So try to use the view cube to see how your design alters in terms of different angles. And also notice the axes behind the cube. So I can go to that corner, I can go to the top, I can rotate the design around, and I can snap it back to that default view, selecting that little home. So the X, Y, and Z are going to be displayed around there. To the the left-hand side, now we've got the browser. And so this works similar to that of the Adobe Layers palette. So it can show us, I'll turn them all off, different origins. So we've got those different points. And this point here, or this symbolizes 0, 0, 0. So no height, length, or depth. So that is our origin. And so if I want to be drawing on this front wall, I'll be selecting that origin plane, the back wall, or that ground plane there. Then I've got my body. So anything that's three-dimensional will become a body or a component. But by default, it'll be created as a body. And I can expand these, I can select them, I can right-click on them, and I can change its appearance, I can delete it, I can rename it, so on and so forth. This design was created originally using this sketch. So anything that's drawn as a shape will be displayed as a sketch. And so we can turn them off as well. Then moving along is looking at now the feature tree in the bottom left. And so the feature tree or timeline at the bottom works similar to the history palette in Photoshop. It records each stage of your design, letting you to review, edit, and update parts very easily. This makes it really easy to explore tools, as you know you can always go through and make changes. So selecting that bar, I can drag it all the way back to the start, and then I can even press play to show how I've gone through and modeled this design. I can step forward, or I can jump all the way to the front or all the way to the back. To go through and edit a design, I can be selecting this sketch. So notice that the icons align with what tools I've been using, and I can right click and then I can go edit sketch. And so I might change this step so it's only 60, or let's go 50. And then finish that sketch and notice that the step has updated. So all the extrusions post that as all synchronizes through. So this allows us to experiment with tools, knowing that we can change and easily undo our modifications as we progress with our design. Lastly is Fusion has different workspaces, hence the name Fusion. So your default, you're going to be starting with design, and then potentially you're going to be applying rendering and animations, simulation testing, and manufacture or drawing for orthographic views or orthogonals. Thanks for watching.